Check 1 2, checking the mic 1 2, check mic check 1 2.
26. Mr. Mr. Gesselman, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, can we have roll call?
Commissioner Getzelman?
Here.
Commissioner Deal?
Here.
Commissioner Hartzell?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Commissioner Work?
Here.
Commissioner Monsalve?
Here.
Commissioner Gomez?
Here.
Commissioner Mendoza, Robert, and Shaw are absent. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I guess this would be the time where we would inform the public on how they would be able to communicate with the commission if via Zoom or via email. So with that, there'll be some information that is given right now.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. And if we can get the slide for directional information, if that's possible. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us remotely via Zoom, either on a computer or your telephone, you are able to, or if you're just joining by video, you are able to, there's a link for Zoom on today's agenda if you'd like to join. And if you'd like to participate during public comment and you are not here in person, if you're joined by the Zoom platform, you can raise your hand by opening the reactions button at the bottom of your screen, clicking on the raise hand icon. On a mobile or landline phone, you can raise and lower your hand by pressing *9. You can also participate by sending an email to pchearingcomments@countyofmonterey.gov. This email is actively monitored by staff. However, we can't guarantee that all comments are received in a timely manner, but we do our best to capture any emails that have come in during the items being considered. When it is your opportunity to be granted permission to speak during public comment, you may mute and unmute yourself on the Zoom platform by at the bottom of your screen, clicking the microphone button to mute and unmute. Also, if you are on a mobile or landline, you can press *6 to mute and unmute. Thank you for your participation today. We also, do we have Wordly? We also continue with our extended pilot for Wordly. And in just a moment, we'll get a slide that has the QR code and web address that you can go to. So if you require translation for today's meeting, you can scan the QR code or go to the web page at the bottom left of the slide that's on the screen. If we can see it in Spanish, would be great. You'll get the Wordly prompt. You can then choose the language that you wish to listen in, and Wordly will have you join from there. If you're here in chambers, we do have microphones, so you can come to the front to the clerk if you have any needs for translation in chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we move on with public comments. And this is a time set aside for the public to comment on a matter that is not on the agenda. So if there's anybody here in the chambers that would like to come and address the commission on a particular item that is not in the agenda, this would be the time to do it. Seeing no one here in the chambers coming forward, is there anybody via Zoom or emails that would like to address the commission on this particular agenda item?
There are no additional emails or hands up on Zoom.
Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, this is agenda additions, deletions, and corrections. So Would you please give us some information on this particular topic item?
For the record, we received and distributed additional correspondence for agenda item number 2, PLN 240369, Ashkar, and agenda item number 3, PLN 230339, Leoton. Those have been provided, and they are on the table here in the front.
Thank you. And with that, we move on to the next item of the agenda, which is commissioner comments, requests, and referrals. So again, this is a time set aside for the commissioners to comment, request, or refer a matter that is on or not on the agenda. Commissioners. Commissioner Deal?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to share a series of conversations I've had with folks about the LUACs and the quorum and what the staff has done to help. We've had a couple of items recently where the LUAC that would have reviewed the item was not at the level where they were allowed to do that because they didn't have enough people. And I spoke, there's a couple that I've run across, and I think Commissioner Work and I spoke about this as well, saying that we really regretted not having that input. And with that in mind, I asked Ms. Bowling for one item this morning if she would, and she would refer to staff, a request that when we have an item and there are not enough people in the LUAC to comment officially, that we go ahead and take the step of providing the staff report for the Planning Commission directly to each of the LUAC members who is present, so they have an opportunity to comment in public comment to the Commission, even if they didn't have an opportunity to weigh in at a LUAC meeting locally. And I wanted to say that now because I think that you'll see at least one letter in the packet or in the new correspondence that is that as a response to that particular course of action, where someone who who serves on the LUAC without the opportunity to talk about a particular item there has provided public comment to the Commission from that perspective. So I wanted to thank staff for helping me with that and hope that we'll continue to do that until we solve the LUAC problem so we can still have that important local public input.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Gesselman?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I was hoping also on that same subject, because we ran into the same issue at the South County LUAC, to get a definition from maybe the Secretary on exactly how they considered a quorum constituted, if that makes sense. Evidently, what they were told at the South County LUAC was that it took 5 because 10 was the number of LUAC members that were supposed to be in the commission. But my understanding was that it was quorum would be the majority of those who were appointed, because sometimes we have considerable trouble filling 10 positions on a LUAC board. So maybe clarification would be in order if that's possible.
I'm going to have to look to those LUAC bylaws, and I don't actually have the available copy. I don't know if staff have that with them at the moment, but I'm happy to take a look at that and get back to you. It shouldn't take me long once I have the governing document in front of me.
Yeah, same. We'll verify that language from those bylaws. And I will, if it's acceptable, I'll work with County Council to clarify and bring back during department report response for that.
But
Yes, that'd be fine with me. Commissioner Deal, I think, has something too.
Commissioner Deal?
Yes, I do. I'm pretty familiar with the LUAC guidelines. It's not a quorum per se. It's you have to have 5 people in order to be constituted as a LUAC. So then the quorum of whatever you have would be the quorum of however many people were constituted. But you couldn't have a LUAC with just 3 people and have it be a LUAC. It has to be 5 people in order to be an existing body. According to, I believe that's the way it looks. But anyway, it's something along those lines. I think I used the word quorum incorrectly. You just have to have a minimum number of people in order to have a committee, and then the quorum would be the majority, just as you've said, of whatever that number of people was. If you had, 7, you'd need 4, or whatever that would be. 5, you'd need 3.
Okay, well, then just some clarification on that would be super. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Seeing no one, we are moving on to scheduled matters. And this is the County of Monterey Planning Commission nomination committee. And I believe that in the past, it doesn't have to, but the chairperson would be one of the members in the planning, I'm sorry, in the,
So the chair appoints 2 nominating committee members. We just got clarification. The chair appoints the 2 nominating committee members.
and I thought it was 3.
3, okay.
So
If you
myself
want to
and,
be on it, yeah.
yeah, because I think in the past, there's been 3 people. So is that correct, Ms. Steele?
Yes, 3 people, and then the chair has served ex officio. So there's a committee of 3, and then the chair is.
Thank you for the clarification. I'm not sure if the bylaws say something different, but anyways, so I will be, I guess, one of the members in the nomination committee. And so we would need 2 other people to be in the nomination committee. And with that, I guess we could get for a couple of volunteers that would like to participate in the nomination committee, since we already have 1/3 set. Commissioner Deal?
Yeah, it's a little difficult because we have a tradition of rotating our chair, and we don't have in front of us whose turn it is, so you wouldn't want to appoint that person to the committee. And if I wasn't clear, I meant it was 3 members of the committee plus the chair ex officio, so that was what we have done in the past. But you don't want to appoint a person to the committee if they're the next up, because they might say they don't want to, and we don't allow that. We just got to draft them.
Correct, but they could volunteer, but also the bylaws indicate that, at least as to how I read them, or that it would be, for example, the nominating committee shall consider the commissioners who have served the longest without being chair and vice chair of the nomination committee. So if somebody's been here for a long time, they've been chair or vice chair, then we would consider the ones that have been here the longest without maybe 3 or 4 years without being chair. So to me, or people can decline, so maybe they can either volunteer or not volunteer.
I'd be glad to serve on that committee.
Ms. Deal, Commissioner Deal?
I'll be glad to serve on the committee, too.
Okay, Mr. Gomez, so we have 3 now. So with that, in terms of the process, it's just an appointment, or do we have to have any particular motion? Or so then, therefore, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the 3 commissioners mentioned, Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Deal, and Commissioner Gomez to the nomination committee, and then we'll figure out when we meet, and then for the next meeting, that's when we'll, I guess, kind of decide. Commissioner Deal?
Could we ask staff to pull up the chart that shows who's served how long? We keep that as a matter of course, and just generally, it might be a good idea to put in with this item in the agenda. Right. That usually is really helpful. Thanks.
Through the chair, the clerk is working on getting a document available to share.
Yeah, in the past, Chair Gonzalez, I think that that information typically provided to the subcommittee, and the subcommittee reviews it and then makes recommendations.
Could we have a hard copy by the end of the day? I don't think it's necessary for right now, but maybe before we leave. If it's possible, and not just email it to us.
It'd be great if we could have it today, yes. Perfect.
So let me see, where are we at? Item number 2, We have Ashkar Kamran F. and Zori Flora Taleb, and I'm sorry if I slaughtered those names. So we should be able to have a public hearing to consider the construction of a 3,750 square foot single-family dwelling. And with that, et cetera, and with that, the staff are going to go ahead and make a presentation on this particular item, number 2.
Can we please share staff right? Thank you. Good morning, Chair Gonzalez, Planning Commissioners. Joseph Alameda presenting for HCD file number PLN 240369, Ashkar. The project is located at 2972 Colton Road in Pebble Beach within the Greater Monterey Peninsula Area Plan. The subject property is zoned medium-density residential with building site 6, design control, and recreational equipment storage overlays. The project involves a combined development permit to allow the construction of a 3,750 square foot single-family dwelling with a 777 square foot attached garage and associated site improvements, as well as the removal of 12 trees. The project meets all required site development standards for the medium-density residential zoning district as related to setbacks, height, and site coverage. As proposed, the project includes an application for the removal of 12 protected trees. Pursuant to Title 21, an arborist report was prepared to evaluate the health, structure, and preservation suitability for each tree within or adjacent to the proposed development. 12 trees would be removed with implementation of this project, including 7 coast live oaks and 5 Monterey pines, as identified on screen by the red X's. The lot is forested, and thus avoiding tree removal entirely is unfeasible for any reasonable development consistent with the neighborhood. All trees to be removed are directly within the development footprint of the main residence and/or the driveway. Removal of these trees is consistent with the recommendations of the Prepared Forest Management Plan. Further, the single-family dwelling, while large, is consistent in size with other single-family dwellings within the surrounding neighborhood. No trees outside of the development footprint are proposed for removal, and therefore staff believe that the proposed tree removal is the minimum required under the circumstances of this case. Condition number 7 has been applied, which requires all removed trees to be replanted on site at a 1-to-1 ratio. The project was reviewed by the Del Monte Forest LUAC on January 15th, 2026. The LUAC recommended approval of the project by a vote of 7-0 as proposed. The single-family dwelling would have exterior colors and materials consisting of light yellow painted stucco, natural stone, a terracotta tile roof, and light brown exposed wood posts and beams. The proposed exterior finishes would not detract from the surrounding natural environment and would be consistent with the surrounding residential neighborhood character. A standard condition of approval has been applied to ensure that all exterior lighting is downlit, unobtrusive, and harmonious with the area. Staff did receive public comment regarding the compatibility of the proposed project with the neighborhood as it relates to height, size, and location. Staff reviewed surrounding developments and found that there are several 2-story homes along Colton Road and within the greater surrounding area, including one of the immediate neighbors. Additionally, while the proposed 3,750 square foot residence will be one of the larger homes in the neighborhood, staff still believes it is consistent with the neighborhood, which consists of homes ranging from 1,700 square feet up to 3,500 square feet. Finally, as stated before, the home is consistent with all site development standards for the MDR zoning district, including site coverage and setbacks, as well as height. Therefore, staff finds the proposed project consistent and compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission find the project categorically exempt pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303 and approve a combined development permit to allow the construction of a 3,750 square foot single-family dwelling with associated site improvements, as well as the removal of 12 trees. That concludes staff's presentation, and staff's available for any questions.
Sorry. Bring it back to the commission for any questions, comments, clarifications. Commissioners? Seeing none, then this would be the time for me to open a public hearing. And so with that, will either the agent or the owner of the project, if you'd like to make a presentation, you're welcome to do so. This would be the time.
I believe they are on Zoom. I believe Mr. Ashkar is on Zoom. He might not have his hand raised, no?
Mr. Askar, if you would like to speak, right now you're available to do that, and you should be able to unmute.
Yes, sorry, I had trouble to unmute myself. Am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Perfect. And I wish I could enable the video as well, but good morning, everyone. Thank you, Joseph, for the presentation. I am looking forward to be one of the residents on the Colton Road, and I have nothing to add unless there is a question to me.
Okay. Thank you. Let's bring it, see if the commissioners have any questions. Commissioners? Seeing no one from the, God bless you, seeing no one from the commissioners, then thank you, is there anybody here in the chambers that would like to address this particular item? This would be the time to do it, so seeing no one in the chambers coming forward, is there anybody in Zoom or via email that would like to address the commission on this particular item?
There are no emails and no hands up on Zoom.
Thank you. With that, I guess we'll bring it back to the commission for any other comments, questions, clarifications, motions. Commissioner Hartzell?
This question is for Mr. Alameda. We received a letter from a local resident discussing the light pollution from windows in the upper stories. I'm not familiar with any. Is there anything we can do about that? Could you speak on it?
Yeah, the staff has, as you know, added the condition for exterior lighting. Staff does not have conditions regarding light exposure from internal lighting. And I do not believe that that's something, in terms of light pollution, that that's something that is reviewed by the county, by planning or building.
Got it. And could you also speak to the size and location of the lot? Also mentioned in the letter, I heard you say that it was in line with local character, but just wondering, like on the street, is this just a particularly bulky proposed front of lot?
Staff reviewed other developments around the area. There are several one-story and smaller homes. The homes in the area seem to match the size of the lot. So smaller lots have some of the smaller range homes, and then some of the more moderate-sized lots, such as this one, have homes in the 3,000 square foot range. Per staff's review of the neighborhood, this home seems to be consistent with what the neighborhood character is regarding size, and they're within their allowed height. They also are not the only two-story home on the lot. However, there are several one-story homes in the neighborhood as well. So per staff's review and the LUAC's recommendation, we believe the home to be compatible with the neighborhood.
Okay. One more.
You still have the floor.
Thank you. Just to mention that I noticed that the big reason that this came to us is the trees. And the design approval, and I took a look at the trees, and I don't have any questions about the removal or the replacement at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Deal?
Thank you. I just want to double check that it's not a requirement, but it's always interesting to know. This item did go through the Pebble Beach Design Review Committee review as well.
Correct, it did.
Prior to going to the LUAC, where it received a unanimous recommendation of approval?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? Seeing none, Commissioner Hartzell?
No further comments, but I'm prepared to make a motion to approve this project as recommended by staff.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Hartzell made the motion and seconded by Commissioner Deal. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion, so indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. So we're done with item number 2. And so we're going to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 3, PLN 230339, Leighton Michael Guy and Tracy Piazza Leighton. And again, this is the staff's time to make the presentation on this particular item. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Gonzalez and Planning Commission. My name is McKenna Bowling, and today staff is recommending a continuance of this item to February 11th after having received information that will require updates made to both the project description and draft resolution.
Okay, thank you. So I guess that does it for this particular item? Or,
You have to consider the continuance, take an action on it, and have public comment on it
yes, the commission?
for the, yeah.
Okay. So I guess this is, like, bring it back to the commission and for comments, questions, clarifications. Commissioner Deal?
Yes, maybe I wasn't listening. Is this a recommendation for a continuance to a date certain, or is the commission a date uncertain? And if date certain, what date is recommending?
Staff is recommending to a date certain of February 11th if there's availability on that agenda.
Thank you.
I'd like to confirm that there is availability on that agenda. I just checked.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? With that, I'm going to have to open a public hearing since the commission spoke a little bit about it. And is there anybody in the chambers that would like to address this particular items? It's been agendized in discussion. Seeing no one in the chambers, is there anyone via Zoom or via emails that would like to address the commission on this particular item?
There are no emails and no hands up on Zoom.
Thank you. With that, I'm going ahead and closing the public hearing and bringing it back to the commission. Commissioner Deal?
Thank you. I'd like to move continuance of this item to a date certain of February the 11th and as recommended by staff.
Thank you. Motion has been made by Commissioner Deal and seconded by Commissioner Monsalve. Any other further questions, comments from the commission? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstention, motion carries unanimously. So then we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 4. And item number 4 is PLN 180441, AMD1 Salinas 101 LLC. And so with that, staff will go ahead and make a presentation on this particular item. Staff?
Good morning again, Chair Gonzalez and Planning Commission. My name is McKenna Bowling, and today I am presenting project file PLN 180441, AMD1, the Salinas 101 LLC Sobel Company project. The subject property is located at 101 Sala Road and Harrison Road within the Greater Salinas Area Plan. It is 17.5 acres in size and zoned LC or light commercial. In November of 2023, the Planning Commission approved a combined development permit consisting of a standard subdivision investing tentative map, general development plan, and use permit to allow mixed commercial space including retail buildings, quick-serve restaurants, a fueling station and motel, a use permit to allow construction of a pylon sign, a variance to allow increase in allowable height of structures on parcel 7, and a variance to increase pylon sign dimensions. The site plan on screen is the approved vesting tentative map. After its approval, the applicant requested modifications requiring an amendment to the vesting tentative map and combined development permit. Additionally, the vesting tentative map and combined development permit were set to expire in November of 2025, and therefore the applicant is also seeking a 2-year extension. The applicant now seeks to modify the size and location of previously approved buildings and parcels, remove the previously approved car wash from the scope of work, add a 3-truck fueling station, and realign portions of Harrison Road to modify driveway access for the subject property. To implement these changes, an amendment to the previously approved general development plan, combined development permit, and vesting tentative map is required. All other project components of the previously approved combined development permit remain the same. As proposed, the amended vesting tentative map complies with both Title 19 and Subdivision Map Act requirements, specifically that no new parcels are proposed, no new environmental impacts are anticipated, there are no conflicts with county code, and the amendment is in keeping with the original project's purpose. The previously prepared traffic impact analysis identified that under existing plus project build-out conditions, the approved project would result in traffic operations that would be in conflict with the county's level of service standard. As a result, the previously approved project included off-site circulation improvements as mitigation measures to reduce the impact to a level less than significant. The proposed amendment continues to include these on- and off-site improvements, but makes certain additional modifications to better accommodate the truck fueling stations related traffic. The improvements included with the amendment modify intersectional traffic at Harrison Road, pedestrian improvements, redirections of trucks to enter the project site from the northern access driveway, and implementation of truck bypass lanes to eliminate truck queuing. Off-site impacts beyond the project frontage have already been analyzed as part of the original study and are not projected to change with implementation of this project. Environmental review for PLN 180441 included the preparation of a mitigated negative declaration pursuant to Section 15164 of the CEQA guidelines. The adopted mitigated negative declaration found that impacts on air quality, biological, greenhouse gases, noise, and traffic would be less than significant with implementation of mitigation measures, while other environmental factors were found to have no impact. 9 mitigation measures were adopted to reduce the severity of these potential impacts. None of the conditions described in CEQA guideline sections 15162 have occurred, and therefore staff prepared an addendum to reflect minor changes to the previous project. The project takes place in substantially the same footprint with minor changes to include reintroduction of the previously considered truck fueling component, modifications to the location and building footprints of approved retail and fast food restaurant buildings. The amendment also includes realignment of Harrison Road to accommodate truck access at the main project entrance, ensuring safe traffic operations. As designed, the proposed project is comparable to the bulk and mass and architectural style of the previously approved project. Removal of the car wash will reduce water demand by approximately 4 acre-feet per year. The proposal reduces the overall potential impacts and does not alter the analysis or conclusions reached by the previous environmental document, and all 9 mitigation measures were found to still be applicable and have been carried forward with this project. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission consider an addendum with the previously adopted mitigated negative declaration pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15162 and 15164, and approve an amendment and 2-year extension of a previously approved combined development permit to include amending the vesting tentative map to allow for reconfiguration of parcels, amending the general development plan to include 3 truck fueling stations and altered building footprints, and modifications to Harrison Road. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Now, with that, we bring it back to the commission. Commissioners, any questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Getzelman.
Thank you, Chair. Generally speaking, would you say that the project has been improved? Is it a little better than it was? I mean, I know that's a judgment call. I understand that. But still, I mean, it sounds to me like they've made it a little better. Would you say that's the case?
Staff would agree it's a reduction in environmental impacts, and the proposal is better than the original project considered.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's the same impression I got. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Deal?
This is just a personal question, which is, I don't quite remember, perhaps someone can remind me why we have conditions that specifically call out one vendor, one actual company. So is Tractor Supply Company the owner of this project?
No, Tractor Supply is not the owner. That was the only business that was committed to when the original proposal came through. All others are still in discussion with the property owner. And that use or Tractor Supply continues to be proposed to occupy one of the larger retail buildings.
I would just be more comfortable if we had the condition for the outcome unrelated to a specific business, because businesses can change over the life of a commercial development. So if we could consider a way to make that those conditions, assuming that they are important to the traffic analysis, which I think that they are, related to the business in that location, whether or not it be Tractor Supply or any other company that may subsequently occupy that space during the life of this development.
Understood. I believe the conditions and mitigation measures perhaps you're referring to relate to noise that were very specific to the trucks that would be occupying or visiting Tractor Supply Company. If that business were no longer occupying that space, those mitigation measures wouldn't necessarily be applicable. So that is a little specific to the operation, but staff is happy to make it a little bit more broad should any larger commercial business that requires heavy truck use.
With respect, through the chair, no, that's not right. If Tractor Supply is sold to somebody else and has a different name, then it is no longer appropriate to apply a condition that is applied to the business name Tractor Supply. Could do all the same things. So that is my point, is you have a purpose-built outcome, that's great, but the actual business that owns that is not relevant to the county's consideration and should, in my view, be cited in our development permit.
If I may, staff can take a look at the language. I think the intent would be perhaps we could do clarifying language that it was analyzed and these are mitigations that apply to commercial operation that is consistent with a company such as Tractor Supply, because it was very specific to Tractor Supply as that key mark. So it wouldn't restrict future companies to be Tractor Supply, but it would be clear that the analysis was related to an operation that is similar in intensity and operation to such. So something like that perhaps could get at both issues, if acceptable.
Through the chair, I'm not telling you how to fix it. I'm just saying that kind of condition's not a good idea, and I'm not comfortable with it. And as a way of doing business, I assume that people have deliveries, and Tractor Supply has particular deliveries, and others might as well. So if you want to just say Tractor Supply or any business similar of doing similar stuff, or whatever. However you want to tie it together is fine. If it's an impact, it's an impact because of the activity, not because of the specific business. That's all.
Correct. So staff will take that into consideration, and pending any kind of motion, we'll make sure to refine the language for the conditions to be clear that it's that company or a similar such with similar activities.
Thank you. Excuse me. Commissioner Hartzell?
For my education, condition 20 seems to me to be about, I'm going to the same one that Commissioner Deal was discussing, seems to me about the operation of the businesses. Is it normal for business operation to be considered in the planning conditions and the construction conditions?
Yes, Commissioner, this is a standard operations and maintenance agreement that's applied to all standard subdivisions to ensure that there is adequate maintenance of subdivision improvements over its lifespan.
And so you always ask to see the leases and the operational hours and things like that?
Correct.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? See, Commissioner Gomez?
It's more of a general question in terms of the analysis regarding noise. The change in use, would that, in your analysis, would that decrease the, does that improve and reduce the noise levels? Or does it make it worse? Because we are going from maybe probably a ton of cars are getting washed to a few big trucks that might be having a lot of braking, doing a lot of braking. So I'm not sure what that would mean for that neighborhood. So I was checking in with that.
The analysis under the previous document remains the same with the change in use proposed. It's not going to have a substantial reduction or increase. We view it as a similar noise level proposed with this project today.
The second question relates to traffic and just the nature of, I think you're going away from essentially cars to trucks and semis, right? Does that have a different traffic impact? And is that analyzed to any degree in light of the change, suggested change?
Through the modifications made to this project, we do have a daily trip reduction in the previously proposed trip reduction count. So arguably it would be either the same as the noise reduction if it were cars versus semis, if not a reduction due to the modified scope of work. And the traffic improvements will help with any of the queuing or bypass lanes that have now been added to accommodate better access and safer truck operations.
I think if I may, I did just want to add, the applicant did work quite extensively with the Public Works Department to review both the reconfiguration and the queuing and other items related to potential for traffic impacts. And so certainly if there's more detailed questions, we could speak with Armando Fernandez, who's on the call. But they did work extensively to address those issues prior to coming in and making their formal submittal for this amendment. And it is consistent. I think I will also just point out that in the general development plan contemplates fueling station, doesn't specify is it truck, is it vehicular. And so again, the specific impacts staff did evaluate and looked at the updated analyses. They are reducing impacts. Also, it's a bit more of a nuance, but in the new location, it actually further reduced just some of the traffic flow issues based on the location where now entrance into the truck fueling station is, as opposed to the original approved project. So, so I think just reiterating that overall, it addresses some general issues and fully addresses any truck queuing issues. There's no new, and in fact, there are reduced environmental impacts or similar to the approved project.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Seeing Commissioner Hartzell?
Last one, I promise, on this Tractor Supply. Is there a condition requiring the submittal of the same operations plan for businesses that have not yet committed?
To clarify, Commissioner, condition number 20 is specific to the stormwater control, maintenance, and operation, not necessarily the operation of individual tenants.
Okay. And then condition number 30, prior to the issuance of any occupancy permit.
Condition number 30 is specific, given the earlier and later anticipated loading dock activities at the Tractor Supply Company or any future commercial use. That does have to be incorporated into any lease or future sale, and staff is working on those revisions now.
And then other uncommitted businesses covered?
Yes, this condition as modified would then expand to any other commercial use that required earlier or later louder vehicle trips to comply with the same condition.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? Seeing no one with that, then I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing. And with that, will the agent or the owner and come and make the presentation if you have one.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Brad Sobel, the owner of the project, Salinas 101. And I stood before you on November 8th of 23, most everyone except Commissioner Hartzell. Other than a few more gray hairs, everything is going well. And staff has done a great job making this presentation and working with us to allow our future tenant to have truck fueling and to do some modifications on the site with our just moving some buildings around to accommodate the truck fueling and extending our tentative map. So if I don't have anything other to say, they did a great job presenting what we're here for, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions of Mr. Sobel? Seeing,
Perhaps just confirming the conditions in the discussion.
with a modification. The only thing is that are the slight conditions or modifications acceptable to you or to the owner?
The modifications of?
Oh, there was
Sorry, for clarification, just the conditions of approval that are associated with the project with the discussed changes to not solely reference where appropriate Tractor Supply Company, but Tractor Supply Company and other operations similar.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Thank you, Commissioners. Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is anybody here in the chambers that would like to address the commission on this particular agenda item? Seeing no one in the chambers coming forward, is there anybody via Zoom or via emails that would like to address this particular item?
There are no emails and no hands up on Zoom.
Okay, with that, then I'll go ahead and bring it back to the commission for comments, questions, discussion. Seeing no hands up, then I guess, what's the pleasure of the commission? Commissioner Getzelman.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move for approval of the project as outlined by staff with the recommended changes to the conditions.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Getzelman and a second by Commissioner Monsalve. So any other comments, questions? Seeing none, then all those in favor of the motion so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Chair?
Yes, sir.
I have a conflict of interest on this next item, so I'm going to have to recuse myself. I'm related to the one of the people named as the applicant. So I'm going to have to be leaving you for a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. And then with that, we move on to the next item on the agenda. And the next item on the agenda is number 5, which is REF 260001. And then it's PLN 250139-DAP and PLN 190243 South County Area Plan and Central Salinas Valley Area Plan amendments. So with that, the staff is going to go ahead and make the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gonzalez. Can IT please share staff left via HDMI? Thank you. Good morning again, Chair Gonzalez and members of the Planning Commission. Fiona Jensen presenting HCD Planning File Number REF 260001. Monterey County Code requires that all general plan amendments be referred to the Planning Commission for early assessment. The goal of early assessment is to give the Commission the opportunity to provide input and feedback on proposed amendments before the projects are formally referred back to the Planning Commission for recommendation and ultimately before the Board of Supervisors for consideration. As a reminder, for general plan amendments to be considered, it must not conflict with the goal, policies, or objectives of the general plan, and there is substantial evidence demonstrating that there is an error or oversight in the general plan, there's a clear change of facts or circumstances, or the amendment better carries out the goals and policies of the general plan. With that said, before you today are two draft general plan amendments. PLN 250139-DEP proposes to redesignate and rezone 4 5-acre parcels in the South County Area Plan. PLN 190243 proposes to apply a special treatment area over a property within the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan. Staff will present the first project, seek Planning Commission input, and welcome any questions and comments, and then proceed with the second project. PLN 250139 proposes to amend the South County Area Plan, specifically Figure LU9 and Sectional District Map 79, by redesignating and rezoning 4 5-acre parcels from light commercial to low-density residential, 1 unit per acre. This is shown on the right. These properties are located just south of the intersection of Lockwood-Halone Road and Halone Road along Interlake Road. The subject 4 properties first received their zoning in 1976, except for 1 commercial property at the intersection of Halone and Interlake Road. The rural district was applied to the unincorporated area surrounding Lockwood and allowed for residential uses and limited commercial agricultural uses. In 1978, the 4 properties continued to be zoned rural district, and just north and surrounding the intersection of Halone and Interlake Road, a 160-acre area was rezoned to transitional district. Later, in 1993, the light commercial zoning district was established and applied to a 155-acre area surrounding the intersection of Halone and Interlake Road, and extending south along Interlake Road to include the subject 4 properties as shown on the image on the right. To the west and east of this commercial area, properties were rezoned to low-density residential. In 2006, a 20-acre parcel was subdivided to create the subject 5-acre parcels, which are shown as parcels 5 through 8 on the map on the left. Staff has reviewed the zoning maps in effect at that time and confirms that these parcels were zoned light commercial at the time of the subdivision. However, the adopting resolution for this subdivision recognized the newly created parcels as low-density residential. Further, the prepared amended mitigated negative declaration analyzed foreseeable impacts of developing these parcels with residential uses, not commercial uses. Accordingly, reference to LDR 1 in the Planning Commission Resolution 06014 appears to be an error or an outcome of an internal interpretation that was never implemented into the land use map. Although there was confusion whether these properties were commercial or residential, the properties continued to be zoned light commercial with adoption and implementation of the 2010 general plan. To add to the confusion, the property's covenants, conditions, and restrictions describe the primary use of these properties as, quote, for residential and agricultural purposes only, and prohibits commercial storage buildings. The current light commercial zoning district allows for residential uses, provided that the gross square footage of the residential use does not exceed the gross square footage of a commercial use. Accordingly, to develop parcels 5 through 8 with single-family residences, the property owners would also have to construct and operate an equal or greater sized commercial business. Although the county does not enforce CC&Rs, it is recognized that the operation of a business on these properties may conflict with the private restrictions of the property. In addition to this conflict, the owners of parcels 5 through 8 have informed staff that it is very unlikely for a single business, not to mention 4 businesses, to survive, let alone flourish, given the sparse population of the remote location. Owners of parcels 5 through 8 have also expressed the desire to develop these properties with single-family dwellings, but cannot do so without a change in zoning and land use designation. Therefore, staff believes there is a demonstrable error or oversight in the 2010 general plan, which was caused by an incorrect recognition of these parcels as low-density residential in 2006. Additionally, staff believes there is a change in circumstance, being that the development of these parcels with residential uses rather than commercial uses is more viable and supports the county's housing demand. With that said, I will pause and welcome any feedback and input on this draft general plan amendment.
With that, commissioners, questions? Seeing no one? Oh, sorry. Commissioner Gomez.
It's just generally, how are these mistakes often not caught, I guess, is really the question, right? And obviously, this is probably the public hearing to try to correct them, right?
That's correct. I don't know if I have an answer for why it wasn't caught, but we've done so now, and this is the process to consider a change.
Any other commissioners? Seeing none, then go ahead and I guess go to the next one. Or do
Would
we?
the commission like to hear the applicant's presentation on this, or wait until the end?
I'm not sure since they're both. They're both on the.
Separate applicants and unrelated, so.
I'm sorry. Oh, they're.
Yeah, they're come together, but they're separate.
Okay, because I saw them in the same particular item, but if they're separate, then we will go ahead and hear from the applicant at this time. If the applicant or the agent, Commissioner Deal?
Thank you. Just to be absolutely clear, staff is recommending the change in this item to correct an error that they believe has been brought forward, and that is why we want to do it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyways, if the agent or the owner of PLN 250139 on this particular item, if that individual is here, with, if you would like to come and address the commission on this particular item.
Hi, my name is Paula Esri. I don't really have any questions. I do thank you for taking your time to look at this issue. It has been a headache because, I know you guys don't have anything to do with CCNRs, but it's a remote area. It does have a store there currently that is not in operation at the time. And the types of businesses that would be required out there for 1,000 people are just not in line with the current population. And we would just really like to build a home, and we can't without a business. So,
Okay,
thank you.
Commissioners,
Have any questions?
Seeing none, thank you very much. And then with that, do we go ahead and hear the other piece, or do we? Because they're both in the same in 5, so that's a new one for me.
So if I may, I think staff's intention was to be able to present each separate item. They are clustered together, but present each separate item so that you could ask questions and provide any thoughts that you wish on that item before moving to the next. It's up to the commission's discretion if you'd like to provide any direct feedback or input now on the project, or wait till you've heard both and asked questions and do that at the end.
Okay.
Through the chair, sorry. I don't believe a formal action or vote is needed on this, as it's only providing input. So it's just seeking input or feedback on the projects. But the commission is also welcome to do that at the end of both items.
Well, I'd rather just go ahead, since we've already heard and the commission has spoken regarding PLN. Maybe we can go ahead and make the presentation on the other one.
Great, thank you. Can HDMI left please be shared?
Chair?
I'm sorry.
There's a hand over there on that side.
I thought you were going to, Commissioner Work.
I was just curious if Mr. Kesselman can come back up for this next item, or does
I
he
don't know
have
if
to
he's
stay out?
part of, I don't think so. I think he's part of that whole piece of it, so. Thank you, though. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. PLN 190243 proposes to amend the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan to create a special treatment area over APN 420-063-014-000 to allow outdoor cannabis, commercial cannabis cultivation. The property is located at 5700 Thompson Road in King City and is zoned permanent grazing. For some background, in June 2019, the Board of Supervisors adopted Chapters 20.69 and 21.69 of the Monterey County Code to create a pilot program for limited outdoor commercial cannabis cultivation in Big Sur, Carmel Valley, and Cachagua planning areas. In 2020, and per the direction of the Board of Supervisors and the Cannabis Committee, HCD staff prepared draft ordinances to amend the outdoor cannabis cultivation program by modifying energy and setback requirements, extending the program's expiration, and adding the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan. The Agricultural Advisory Committee later considered this draft ordinance amendment and recommended the removal of the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan, citing concerns with crop incompatibility, an unknown number of location of permittees in the area plan, water availability, and potential impacts on cattle grazing. In April 2021, the Planning Commission considered the draft ordinance. During the Planning Commission's hearing, members of the Commission had questions about whether the Agricultural Advisory Committee's concerns raised concern about the excluded limited number of Central Salinas Valley Area Plan residents who cultivate cannabis and wish to legalize their operation, and reiterated that the purpose of a pilot program is to attempt to address concerns and questions which will then better inform an ultimate ordinance. During this hearing, a Central Salinas Valley Area Plan resident, John Cummings, expressed his desire to be included in the program. After public testimony and given the July 1st, 2021 deadline to find the ordinance statutorily exempt from CEQA, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the ordinance without the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan. The amended draft ordinance was then adopted by the Board of Supervisors in May 2021. No operators have sought permits through this pilot program as of date. Since Mr. Cummings' property is located within the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan, it is not subject to the outdoor cannabis cultivation pilot program. Accordingly, there are no existing regulations that would allow Mr. Cummings to establish an outdoor cannabis cultivation site. Therefore, he now seeks adoption of a special treatment area. A special treatment area is intended to be used in conjunction with the underlying land use designation. Its purpose is to facilitate a comprehensive planned approach for specifically designated properties or a single property, where a mix of uses is permitted and/or where there are unique natural and scenic resources or significant recreational and visitor serving opportunities. In this case, the proposed special treatment area would essentially recognize the uniqueness of this property and allow the owner to cultivate cannabis. Subject to meeting requirements of Title VII and obtaining necessary licenses and permits from the County of Monterey Cannabis Program. The special treatment area would be added as a Central Salinas Valley Area Plan policy, specifically Policy 1.8, stating the Cummings Ranch shall be designated as a special treatment area to allow up to 20,000 square feet of outdoor cannabis cultivation, provided the operator obtains commercial cannabis business permits and the operation complies with the requirements of the pilot program, except for a location. Should the special treatment area be adopted, the cannabis proposal would involve 378 plants with a total canopy square footage of just over 18,000. The outdoor cannabis pilot program's regulations were used as guidelines to better determine whether Mr. Cummings' outdoor cannabis proposal is appropriate. Although not required, the applicant's operation plan does demonstrate that the cultivation proposal would comply with all pilot program requirements, except for location. Further, the applicant is committed to obtaining necessary licenses and permits from the County of Monterey Cannabis Program. The primary reason the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan was removed from inclusion in the program was due to pesticide drift concerns raised by the Agricultural Commissioner and Agricultural Advisory Committee, and the limited time to take advantage of a statutory exemption. Although no additional time by staff has been spent to better analyze pesticide drift in the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan, Mr. Cummings has demonstrated compatibility with the program's requirements, again, besides location, and confirms that it will not impact any nearby grazing, vineyards, or crop cultivation due to distance and size of the operation, as well as Mr. Cummings owning the neighboring, I believe, 14 parcels. Mr. Cummings is the only cannabis cultivator in the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan who has contacted HCD seeking a path forward to legalize limited outdoor cannabis cultivation. In this case, staff believes there is a change in circumstance, being that the pilot program is soon to expire in June of 2026. Research to better determine whether the program should be amended to include the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan has yet to occur. No cultivators have taken advantage of the program, and the subject property meets all program requirements, but is simply excluded due to location. Additionally, creation of the special treatment area, staff believes better meets the goals, policies, and texts of the general plan by promoting economic development and allowing the property owner to increase the agricultural viability of his property. With that, staff welcomes any input and feedback on the project, and this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. With that, we bring it back to the commission. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Deal?
Yeah. How many participants are there total in the pilot program to date?
No operators have obtained any permits to that program as of date.
So the pilot program has no data of any sort anywhere at this point in time?
That is staff's understanding, yes.
Okay. And in this case, has this project been brought to the Agricultural Advisory Committee for their thought?
Staff was planning to do that at their February meeting. Unfortunately, that will be, all general plan amendments must be referred to the Planning Commission for recommendation in February. Unfortunately, the next available Agricultural Advisory Committee meeting is just the day after the planned commission date. So staff is recommending to bring it there, but it would be post Planning Commission recommendation, but prior to the Board of Supervisors consideration.
We should talk about that because I would certainly appreciate the input from the Agricultural Advisory Committee on this matter. It seems really, since it's the only pilot program application that we are moving forward with at all, seems to be of pretty strong importance.
Staff can independently obtain, hopefully, the agricultural commissioner's input on it, rather than being referred to the, or in addition to being referred to the Agricultural Advisory Committee. But staff does apologize for the unfortunate timing on that.
Would there be an action we could take to postpone consideration of general plan amendments in this particular round to a meeting that follows the Ag Advisory Committee?
Potentially, the Planning Commission could consider the item in late February and continue it to a date certain to then allow the Agricultural Advisory Committee's meeting at the next date, or staff can also consider a special, work with the Agricultural Commissioner's office to see if a special meeting prior to February 25th can occur.
From my point of view, one of those options would be really helpful because we know that's the discussion that is going to be most relevant to this consideration, having heard it before. And just want to check my math. So we're talking about a little less than half an acre.
Correct.
Ground. So the special treatment area would be for a small area of about, what's the lot size that we're talking about?
The subject parcel is approximately 120 acres. And the draft language does apply to the entire assessor's parcel number, so the 120 acres, but staff could modify the language to make it very specific.
No, I didn't mean that at all. I'm just mindful of the long prohibitions against what we used to call spot zoning. in terms of enshrining something in the zoning ordinance that applies to a single parcel for a single reason. We're often cautioned to take that very, very seriously and have a really overriding reason to do such a thing. I mean, separate from this consideration about this use.
Understood. And to clarify, a special treatment area does not modify necessarily the underlying zoning or land use designations, but it is additive to it as it's a policy it would be a policy in the general plan, but understood on the concerns.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Gomez?
I guess cannabis cultivation is considered agriculture, right?
Correct.
Okay, and the only other question I had to do that I have is relates to water use. The water supply would come directly from that parcel too?
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hartzell?
This special treatment area runs with the entire parcel. So if Mr. Cummings were to sell that parcel but not the surrounding 14, it would still be an allowed use?
Correct. Staff can come back with this in February. Assessor's parcel numbers don't always indicate legal lots of record, so this parcel may be a part of a larger, a couple 100-acre property that he owns, but we can research that and come back. But to your question, hypothetically, if this individual parcel was a legal lot of record and separately sold, future owners would benefit from the same special treatment area.
Thank you. I'd love to see that next time we...
Commissioner Deal?
So it's a little convoluted. So the purpose of considering this would be to allow this to be part of the pilot program or part of an ongoing operation completely separate from any consideration in the pilot program scope.
It would be separate from the pilot program. Staff is not recommending that the pilot program be modified to include a single property. Instead, staff is recommending that a special treatment area be applied that considers the requirements of the pilot program without enforcing them and allowing the operator to operate independent of the pilot program's existence or not.
So that would mean that this individual person could grow up to half an acre of cannabis outdoors in perpetuity, regardless of anything else that happened with the zoning land use side. I suppose there could certainly be licensing or other sorts of issues that might apply.
Correct. There's licensing locally and through the state, but that is correct.
And there's no place else in the county that would have a similar situation anywhere?
There could be. I think at this time, this is the only operator who has sought a path forward to legalize a cannabis operation. Again, I think there was some input from the commission back in 2021 to research the viability of expanding the program to the Central Salinas Valley Area Plan. However, that is not I don't believe any formal direction is yet to occur. And again, the pilot program is set to expire, unfortunately, this summer.
Okay, well, I have some thoughts about it now that we've clarified it, but I'd like to hear if anybody else has thoughts about it as well.
Commissioner Gomez?
Yeah, I think that raises the issue that you brought up earlier. I think it makes even more sense to delay the vote on it in light of the fact that it's not part of the pilot program, to wait to hear from APAC.
Commissioner Deal?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any public comment that we'd like to take in about that before we come back and talk. And I would like to speak a little about both applications at that time.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on if the agent or owner of this particular item come and address the commission or present your information. Go ahead.
I'm up.
Go ahead and.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is John Cumming. I'm the applicant for PLN 190243. The HCD has gone into great detail as far as water and things of that nature are concerned, environmental concerns. So I'll ask you all to refer to that. I want to be very clear with everybody here that I was instrumental in the development or the start of the outdoor pilot program from the ground up. Unfortunately, as you all know, the District 3 was not included in it. Regardless of that, I still did, I'm not sure if the terminology is correct, but I applied for and was given PLN 190243. Took a number of years to try to get the pilot program amended, and then I was advised to set up or start the special treatment area accommodation. So I'm here today to answer any questions, or I could do that through the HCD. And at the end of today, I'd like to make a special recommendation statement and thank you statement, but I'll wait for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, I bring it back to see if the commissioners have any questions. Commissioners, Commissioner Work?
Yeah, could you, if you were instrumental in the first round, was the hemp and cannabis part of the same program, the pilot program, or was it just cannabis?
Let me put it this way. In 2012, I had a family member that was diagnosed with breast cancer. For her treatment, she wanted to use cannabis as part of her treatment process, but she couldn't find any clean cannabis. So I went to a dispensary in Santa Cruz in 2013 and asked the folks there if they could locate some clean product. They eventually found product out of Humboldt. And I would go back periodically and pick up product for her. The company owner asked me if I would ever consider growing cannabis. And I looked at him like he had four eyes. And the answer, you got to be kidding me. I told him about myself and where I lived and my property. And he asked me if I would ever consider growing it on my property. He says at that time there was an initiative called the California State, correct me if I'm wrong here, Medical Marijuana Initiative, which allowed folks to grow product for medical reasons. I decided to start growing or cultivating cannabis under the California Medical Marijuana Initiative. I supplied a dispensary or distributor in Sand City. I grew product or cultivated product from 2014 to 2020. Near the end of the California initiative, the state made the indication that they were going to turn regulation back over to the county, to the various counties. I approached my district with the advice of the chief of staff at that time, who's now a supervisor. We started what was called the Outdoor Pilot Program. And that's just me. I'm talking about all the folks in Big Sur and in Kashawa and that area. The program was developed. The requirements were extremely tight. Once I looked at the requirements, I realized that I met and exceeded all of them except for my district and zoning. And here I am today. Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Gomez?
I know that other jurisdictions, such as Santa Cruz County, allow outdoor cultivation. Have you studied it anywhere else?
Have I studied?
Outdoor cultivation.
Well, I understand studied as far as me.
Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting you, sir. I'm a fourth or fifth generation Monterey County resident. I have no desire to move. I will not move. This is my home. Thank you.
Commissioner Deal?
I would add San Benito County allows it as well. But more to the point, when you were involved in the pilot program discussions, and I speak as a Big Sur resident, I have a lot of neighbors and a lot of neighbors in Kashawa, and I note that the pilot program has resulted in a very ill feelings among those groups of people that feel that they were working very hard to accomplish a goal that was then made inaccessible to them because of the level of regulation and cost related to it. So I am extremely sympathetic on two counts. One of them is that, and my sense that the pilot program has shown one thing very clearly, which is that it has pushed people back into the underground rather than allowing us to have the legal oversight and industry that actually can come forward into the daylight. And the second one is that I happen to work in San Benito County on an operating outdoor cannabis growing farm, and I'm quite familiar with what the operations look like and what exactly is required by them. So from my point of view, what's been happening with cannabis here has been extremely arduous for anybody attempting to do the right thing. And I just want to express my absolute appreciation for you to continue the quest forward, even though the time taken has certainly done things to the potential market. I think that the fact that you're here sticking with it after all this time is remarkable. And I do want to thank you for that. And at the same time, I'm a planning geek, and the kind of a result that we're looking at here is, from a planning perspective, troublesome. So I want to express that to staff, I want to express that to the public, and I want to express that to you, is that from my point of view, and I've been quite open about this, my preferred mechanism would be that to consider outdoor cannabis an agricultural operation, consider that it's adequately licensed and overseen by other entities, and let the Ag Commissioner do its thing and get it out of land use entirely. But I haven't been successful in that discussion throughout the many, many years of it. So it's just me speaking to you to say I couldn't be more sympathetic. And I still have some recommendations, some reservations about the mechanism proposed in this case. It's not about the outcome. It's not about cannabis. It's about planning. So I don't know that it's a question, but I did want to say it while you were there.
Thank you. May I comment on that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. San Benito County and some of the other counties, Santa Cruz, their outdoor is what I would call row crop outdoor. I've been involved with the agricultural business in Monterey County for decades, and they have what's called row crop. My operation, we like to refer to it as outdoor mountain open air. It's not involved, in conjunction with the row crops. And I know that the planning or the agricultural committee, that was the main concern, and I understand that. I've been there before, and I understand that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Seeing none, thank you for the information. And you can go ahead and, I guess there are no other questions. You can go ahead and sit down. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, is there anybody here in the chambers that would like to address the commission on this particular item?
Hi, good morning, Michelle House. I currently serve as the Cannabis Program Manager for the County of Monterey. So I just would like to say I respect, Commissioner, some of the things you have said about Big Sur and the fiery hoops, as I call them, that must be jumped in order to begin the work. So I want to acknowledge that publicly and understood. What I do want to say is I have been working with John over the last year. I've been in this position about a year and a half, and I've been working with him over a year to help him realize his goal or mission. I currently serve as the regulator. I work very closely with the Ag Commissioner on other issues. He does not handle cannabis. I do from a regulatory standpoint. So my job is to ensure that once he has jumped through these hoops, that my team will go out several times a year to ensure he's following the rules and regulations set forward by our 7.9, which is the part that I regulate, and then the Department of Cannabis Control, and make sure he's also in alignment with those rules and regulations. And then the Department of Cannabis Control will visit him periodically. So as a regulator, if you have any questions, I can answer that.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Thank you. And you can go, I don't see any, oh, Commissioner Gomez?
I guess oftentimes this change in policy comes at the direction of the board of supervisors. Is there any thoughts at all by the current board about expanding cannabis cultivation to beyond the greenhouses in Monterey County? I haven't heard anything. Just checking.
Sure. So the board historically had moved forward with the outdoor pilot, and it is true that the outdoor pilot project does expire in June, and we would go back to the board if so. And remember, as I said, regulator, and I serve also as part of a team to the Cannabis Committee. So all of these things would move from Cannabis Committee to the board if we are, and I would work with Craig Spencer because I do not regulate outdoor in that way. In other words, I'm the regulator, but that ordinance for pilot is not under my wheelhouse, if that makes sense. I'm the regulator of all things rules and regs for cannabis. I would work with Craig to move it forward. If the board has a flavor for extending, then we would. So I am beginning conversations with Craig and HCD to see if we are going to move it forward. I think that's what your answer is are we going to extend beyond June 30th, the outdoor?
Okay. Commissioner Deal?
All right. I'm going to not speak like a regulator. I'm going to speak like a citizen representative here.
Perfect.
The political reality of this is that the outdoor growing community worked very hard, felt they had achieved some traction, and were put into a situation where the outcome was publicly, yes, we're going to try this, and practically, it's going to be impossible for anybody to do. So we've now shut them up for several years and said, yeah, we hear you, yeah, we're going to do what you want to do, but prevented them from, in fact, actually doing it. So the question of discerning the political will is kind of complicated here. We can't figure out whether anybody actually means what they appear to have said, because the outcomes would indicate that that is not what they wanted to have happen. In the meantime, we've had a loss of almost a whole generation of folks in Big Sur who were expecting to make a living out of this. We've had a number of young people who thought they might be able to hold up there and make a go of it, had to move out. With that and the fires and the situations that occur in that neck of the woods. Kashawa the same way. Kashawa has experienced a bunch of environmental difficulties with the fires there. So people are experiencing actual disillusionment on a scale that I think has not been voiced as often or as publicly as it should be. I know the Cannabis Committee has these discussions, but it is no longer a place where folks who feel this way feel comfortable and feel that their voices are going to be heard. So I don't know what the way forward is, and I consider this particular case to be the people that have given it the most thought, an effort, a Herculean effort to try to right a wrong and perpetuate a little bit of justice in a place where it has not been perpetuated. But it's a one-off, and unless we have some way of saying this person, it was appropriate to be heroic to help solve the injustice in this case, and nobody else was, I have trouble with that. And I just think people should say this more often, because we said we were going to help a whole bunch of people, and we didn't help them, and they now no longer believe that an effort to try to do anything to get themselves on the right side of the law is worth it. So we pushed them out of the trailer. We no longer serve those people in the same way that we used to. And while I would welcome the opportunity to serve anybody at this point. Discussion of a pilot program that has been successful in deterring any outdoor cultivation in the county of Monterey strikes me as an abject failure and should certainly, from the point of view of practicality, not be considered a program so much as a barrier. So I know again, I work on a working row crop, high volume for cannabis farm in San Benito County, among my other things that I do. And I myself, from that experience, cannot see why this is such a big darn deal. I mean, it isn't, it's not as much of an impact as garlic, which takes forever. So I'm sorry to like be that, but somebody's got to be the voice for the people who no longer have a voice. And my background in that, in this whole thing, comes from a place where the one thing that I wanted out of the cannabis regulations in Monterey County was a pathway for people to become legal participants in the economy and stop running outdoor illegal grows in the backcountry covered over with machine guns and pesticides, threatening the lives of me and the people I care about because we wandered into the wrong canyon. Cutting up, the enforcement used to come in and cut up all the illegal irrigation and just throw the water pipe down into the creek. We've got snags that are still held together by leftover irrigation pipes. My promise was we were going to go legal so that it was no longer practical and economic for these illegal operations to occur. That was going to get them out of the backcountry and help the people who wanted to do this and have been doing it, for that matter, for generations, become parts of our community who were legal. None of that has eventuated. This particular program in particular is seen as a fraud and a actual ploy. And so, yeah, I don't like it. I think that's more than abundantly clear. And we have someone here who's gotten all the way to this point that we're trying to help. But why didn't we help anybody else? I mean, what about the numbers of people who originally applied to be part of this program and then fell out because they couldn't deal with all the fiery hoops, as you said? Anyway.
I appreciate
this is feedback about this, the thought of this. We're not actually in the hearing on the project.
Understood. I would be happy to speak with you offline around ideas and the fiery hoops. As I said, I have been here a year and a half, so I'm witnessing what I see now, and I have ideas and things to think about that, as I said, would have to be shared with Craig Spencer, as this is in his wheelhouse. And my philosophy is never say never. We don't know what could happen and what could be, but I would be happy to speak with you offline if you wish to.
Thank you. Any other commissioners?
Through the chair, may I respond? I'm actually less interested in speaking offline than I am in speaking in public, in front of people.
Sure.
I'm not an expert in what the rules for cannabis should be or what the history has been.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, we've alienated all the experts that we did have.
So from what I can gather, the fiery hoops have to do with the land and water and other issues that, again, are not under me for, shall we say, the regulation piece. It's the blocks that come with the land use and working with HCD and those involved in planning and other departments, because they have to move through to clear the property of things for land use. Okay. And that is not under my house, shall I say. I'm not a planner.
So thank you. Any other information from the commissioners? Madam Secretary?
Yeah, and if I may, just for this item through the chair. So, I think at this time, it's speculative. Their HCD has not received any direction to discuss or consider extending the soon-to-expire pilot program. That does not mean it cannot come on the edge, but regardless, the decision, kind of the pre-consultation here is for a special treatment that would allow for cannabis outdoor cultivation in a limited extent, with or without a pilot program in general. So just reminding the commission that that is actually what is before us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
first-
Go ahead, Commissioner Hartzell. Oh, did you have a question?
I don't have a question for the public hearing. I have a question for staff, so I can wait until you move to that.
And thank you now. With that, is there anybody here, anybody else in the chambers that would like to address this particular item? Seeing none, is there anybody via Zoom or any emails that would like to address this particular item, PLN 190243?
We have no emails and no additional hands up on Zoom.
And if I may go back, I think I missed a step on PLN 250139. Is there anybody via Zoom or any emails on PLN 250139 that would like to address the commission on that particular item?
No hands up on Zoom and no additional emails.
Thank you. Now that we've addressed both, does staff have any other comments or information?
Not at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So with that, we'll bring it back to the commissioners for the different options. Commissioner Deal?
I think Commissioner Hartzell's holding a question for staff.
Oh, Commissioner Hartzell?
Could you give me, I know you went through this and it's in my packet, but one more time, why was District 3 left out of the pilot program?
From listening to the Planning Commission's hearing back in, I think it was April of 2021, there was a time constraint to consider the ordinance statutorily exempt that was upcoming. So that appeared to have pushed the decision in light of not having then adequate time to research the pesticide drift that may occur in the Central Salinas Valley. So there was an effort to find it statutorily exempt, given some other time constraints, really. And then there were broader concerns about the potential crop incompatibility in the Central Salinas Valley, given the typical agricultural uses there that are maybe different than the other planting areas that were considered in the pilot program. And that needed more time than what could be accomplished to still find the ordinance statutorily exempt, if that makes sense.
And if we were going to ask for input on those factors, the Agricultural Commission or Committee would be the right place to get that?
Correct. During that hearing, the Ag Commissioner said, absent any very specific planning area research, he suggested that a 2-mile buffer around cannabis cultivation could be appropriate. This property, I believe, is a mile, just over 1.5 miles from any other nearby sensitive receptors, as the property owner owns the majority of the surrounding land.
You still have the floor.
Thanks. And just, could you give me clarity on both of these amendments? What is the standard that we're going to be asked to consider them under?
The items will be referred back to the commission in February next month, and for a general plan amendment to be considered, it must demonstrate that it's not in conflict with any goals, policy, and objectives of the general plan other than those proposed to be amended, and that there is substantial evidence demonstrating either there's an error or oversight in the general plan, there's a clear change in facts or circumstances, or the amendment better carries out the goals and policies of the general plan.
And in the case of the Lockwood, that's correcting an error. And in the case of the special treatment zone, which one are we putting it under?
Staff believes there could be a change in facts or circumstances given kind of the fruition of the pilot program and the clear applicability to a single property that can't be considered, and potentially better carrying out the goals and policies of the general plan, increasing agricultural viability on a large ranch.
My only feedback on that would be, when we hear this again, I'll want to pull out and trot out the standard that we're applying to the facts of the particular changes. And I'll probably ask a lot of questions about that.
Commissioner Work?
I'm curious about the row crop operations. Did they have to get a special treatment plan for their zoning? That's the part I'm having trouble with is, would it be easier just to say add the open canopy to the row crop policy or whatever, so it would just tie in so it could just deal with the ag commissioner? Because I'm having a hard time this being a planning issue. I agree with Mrs. Deal on that. I just don't, seems like an ag thing to me.
Understood. The county zoning ordinance, Title 21, does regulate outdoor cannabis cultivation. And given those existing regulations and the lack of applicability to this project is why it continues to be a land use function as well as a Title VII or cannabis-related regulations. So, yeah, the exceptions potentially through a special treatment area can be considered to allow properties to amend certain regulations that may not be applicable to them or establish certain regulations.
So is that probably what San Benito County did? I'm just curious if, say that particular place that she works, did they have to get a special treatment to grow there?
I'm not familiar with San Benito County requirements. I can speculate if the commission desires.
I'd take a speculation.
I presume it may not just be regulated through their zoning ordinance versus the county has established regulations for outdoor cannabis control in the zoning ordinance.
I think if I may, through the chair, certainly staff, when bringing this forward, could provide some context for what this looks like in surrounding jurisdictions. Fundamentally, however, in the way that Monterey County has chosen to regulate and excuse me?
Do we stop, or since we don't have a quorum right now? I don't know.
We only got.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll be back in about 5 or so minutes. Thank you. break. So with that, we're going to go ahead and, I'm sorry? Oh, but,
No, he's still on.
yeah, he's still on. But the 6 commissioners that were present before the break are still here. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start. And will Madam Secretary continue with your information?
Thank you, Chair. I think all I was saying prior to the break was just yes, staff can look at the regulatory structure in other areas, but regardless, the way in which cannabis has been established here, regulations for cannabis here in Monterey County, it is handled through land use and allowed through land use, and therefore this is an avenue to do so that is perhaps different from how other counties have handled it.
Sorry, I was just asking here if this was an item for action or if it was a preliminary. So with that, I'll ask Commissioner Deal.
Thank you. When it comes back before us, one of the things we often find in these kinds of situations is we have to make a finding that this is not a grant of privilege to one property especially. In other words, it's not just, and not everybody else, I forget the wording of it. So that idea is what I am struggling with respect to a special treatment area. We'd want special circumstances clearly delineated that would make sure we weren't, and it's hard because we kind of are, doing something for one person that wouldn't be the case for everybody anywhere in a similar situation. What we're doing is we're circumventing the zoning consideration or the regulatory situation that included this kind of zoning. But that's a finding. So if it comes back forward, it would be important to explore that, I think. Make sure, does staff know the one I mean? I can't remember the words for it.
I think what Commissioner Deal you're referring to is actually a finding for a variance for zoning, which is different from the findings that need to be made for general plan amendments. And those are those are very specific, and perhaps if it would be helpful, Ms. Jensen could share that slide again in terms of the specific circumstances that need to be met and findings need to be made to support for a general plan amendment.
Always, thank you.
If HDMI left can please be shared, thank you.
Bless you. You're still searching, or? Commissioner Deal?
Thank you. I appreciate that those are the statutory requirements. I guess what I'm saying is I also have the concern that we don't make general plan amendments based on individual situations randomly. We need to know how this would be. Even if it's not in there, I don't know. Well, I'll look forward to seeing the discussion of the change in facts and circumstances that we feel would be the reasoning behind this application going forward. And that being the case, from my point of view, it would be vital to have the input from the Agricultural Advisory Committee to determine whether they believed that was the case as well. I would also, with that in mind, say that input towards the change in circumstances would be really important, and also point out that because of the way things are, there's not a strong fact-based experience in the Agricultural Advisory Committee with respect to the cultivation of cannabis outdoors. So when we do receive the information back from that group, I think it would be important to remember that some of the concerns that were expressed in earlier discussions came from the perspective of those on the Ag Advisory Committee who have other operations who had concerns related to what the impacts of cannabis might be on them, up to and including concerns by people who were interested in growing hemp that cannabis might contaminate their product with too much THC, that they would then have to have their product condemned. People who are growing wine that were concerned that the odor of cannabis might impact their wine production. And the pesticide drift issue was, and I do want to say this publicly because it comes across as if cannabis is a product that requires a lot of pesticides. For the most part, in my experience, it is entirely, or almost or all entirely, certainly from my knowledge, entirely very controlled with respect to organic chemicals that can be used in its production. It's entirely, because of the use of it, it's kept super clean. This pesticide drift problem, and it came forward in the Ag Advisory Committee previously, was that if some other operator growing some other crop was using pesticides and those drifted onto the cannabis crop would have to be condemned because it wouldn't be clean enough, and the person whose pesticide drifted onto the cannabis would have to pay for it, and cannabis is really expensive. So just the perception is really important for people to understand. It's not the impact of the crop itself, it's the concern on people around it of things that might affect them mostly economically. So when we're talking land use, we need to be aware that we're talking land use. When the Ag Advisory Committee is talking about agricultural operations, we need to be cognizant of their perspective, which at the moment has not been run through a filter that contains a strong voice for what cannabis actually is in it. So, yeah, I'm advocating for my position. I always do that, but I just want to make sure that when our staff is speaking carefully and correctly, as they always do, the impression isn't left that the operation itself is responsible for negative impacts in those areas that we know of. So when we're talking about a buffer, that's not what the buffer's about. When we're talking about the distance off another crop, that's not what we're talking about. It's not because the cannabis does something, it's because of other people's fear of what cannabis would do to them. And not the product, but their operation. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I don't know that it's absolutely relevant here, but it affects my thinking about it. And I just want to, at this discussion phase, make sure that we're as broad in our conversations as we can be to set the context for how we look at this coming forward. And I tell you, from the cannabis perspective, it is not our business, but from the land use perspective, the mechanism is our business, and that's the problem for me.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Seeing none. Commissioner Gomez?
I'm going back, and this is more of a procedural question about this amendments, because there's one, I think it's clear, just a correction, right? I want to make sure that we could take two separate actions, right? Maybe one on the original first recommendation that came before us, and the second one bring back in terms of a decision. I just want to get guidance from our attorney or from Melissa here.
If I may, I think, so again, today is a preliminary consideration, so there's no directions. Staff and applicants hear the conversation, the questions, the input from the commission, and then that informs when we do formally bring forward the proposed general plan amendments. I would say that we've gotten a lot of good, in this case, are hearing the feedback specific to each item. And so I think I would just request that for the commissioners, if they do have any other additional thoughts or considerations that they want to be sure that are taken into consideration as these items are processed and subsequently considered to come back before the Planning Commission for recommendation to the board, now would be that time. But there's no formal recommendation or action today.
Okay, any other commissioners? With that, I guess this item will be brought back in February, and then at that point, you'll go ahead and make a decision one way or the other, based on either staff recommendations or commissioners' thoughts. With that, we go to other matters, and I don't believe we have any other matters at this point, but we go to the department report.
Thank you. Yeah, the first item under department report is the referral matrix. And I would just like to note a couple of items on the commission's referral matrix. So as I do, I have made any changes or updates consistent with bold to help those jump out at you all. Specifically, I wanted to flag that, give me 1 second, there it is. Referral, so it's line 13, referral 24.7, which is a report regarding the process for consideration of enacting a moratorium on new visitor serving units in the Big Sur Coast LUP, pending comprehensive update of the Big Sur LUP. So staff has provided an update, and at this time, the staff is recommending that the definitions of a rustic campground and consideration for those facilities are appropriately to be addressed through the Big Sur LUP update, and that an interim interpretation or moratorium or other is not the appropriate mechanism, and therefore would suggest that we deem that complete and or transfer that referral for tracking the definition of rustic campgrounds in particular to that to the update of the Big Sur LUP process. So I just wanted to flag that one. And then also for oh, and Mr. Getzelman, you're welcome to rejoin us on the dais. So for the record, I'm sure the chair would say, let it reflect that Commissioner Getzelman is back on the dais as well for this item. So for line 14, referral 24.8, which is information and status regarding regulations and enforcement to curb unpermitted food vendors. So I wanted to flag that the Environmental Health Bureau does plan to bring forward to the Board of Supervisors a discussion on February 3rd for this item, providing an update and I believe requesting additional resources to provide for enforcement, in particular of some of the uniqueness related to unpermitted food vendors in the county. So staff would just like to provide that as a verbal update. I will note that the Planning Commission, a letter has not been formally prepared. I would ask if, or just note that should the commission wish to prepare any kind of short note or a formal letter to the board for its consideration for the third It would be a short turnaround time, but it could be submitted as a public comment if desired. Otherwise, I'm happy to reach out to the Environmental Health Bureau staff just to make sure that they make a point to reference this referral and the Commission's general consensus support for resources to curb unpermitted food vendors.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from the Commission? Commissioner Deal?
Yes, thank you. I want to talk about line 2, where the staff proposes to bring back a comprehensive disaster recovery note, and just clarify that what my referral was about, and I was responsible for the wildfire rebuild section of that referral. My referral is asking for the number of structures that were lost in wildfires since 2015, the status of rebuilds, including any applications, the status of any applications, and the number of completed rebuilt structures. And so that's for all wildfires countywide, 2015 to present. And the reason for the information, in my mind, was intended to inform a conversation around streamlining rebuilding processes to help people who find themselves in that situation. So just a comment that says, oh yeah, well, we lost some people, some things, and we have had X number of rebuilds, wouldn't provide the information that was going to be useful. We need a little more granular data to understand where, if any, there might be a place to make it easier for people in that case. That may or may not apply to the disaster recoveries from floods. I think the general principle certainly has some bearing, but I don't know that the specifics would be necessarily the same.
If I may, for clarification, if I may, Chair.
Go ahead.
For clarification, do you prefer that we not combine the two, or simply be mindful as to the differences of the nature of different types of disasters? I think staff's impression, staff's thinking is there are some processes that are common to any disaster, and then there are unique steps and processes and barriers depending on the nature of the disaster. So is there a concern with combining them as long as we maintain the uniqueness of the different type of disasters?
Through the chair, I guess I don't have any particular, dog in the fight of how you present the information. But what I'm looking for is to pinpoint potential roadblocks for, facilitating these things. So however that is most easily circled around, that would be helpful. But it's a report that says, oh, we have this many applications, this many are incomplete, or these, that doesn't help. What I need to know is what's the holdup. If somebody, and it may be in some cases that people haven't applied because they don't think it's going to work. I want to know all that stuff. So however you choose to present it is fine with me. If you think there are commonalities and those roadblocks can be discerned collectively, that's great. More we can fix in one fell swoop, that's, fine with me. We've had a couple reports that didn't get at the meat of my concern, and I'm just trying to get ahead of that and say this is really what I'm trying to accomplish. The outcome I'm looking for is a discussion of what does this information tell us. So a report, drop it on the table, put it in the addendum is not really the answer. The answer is an agendized item that says we've discovered these issues and we have thoughts, recommendations, concerns, or maybe none about what we could do to make things better. In my perception, things are not good, so I would prefer they were better.
Staff will make a point to be very outcome-oriented with the report for pinpointing specific opportunities or areas where improvement can or should be made. Thank you.
Particularly where those include the Planning Commission doing something.
Okay, any other commissioners? Seeing none, then we're going to have a public comment on the department reports. Is there anybody in the chambers that would like to address the commission and the items so discussed? Seeing nobody coming forward, then is there anybody via Zoom or emails that would like to address the commission regarding this particular items discussed under department report?
We have no emails and no hands up on Zoom.
Thank you. Other than that, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple other brief department report items. One, I just wanted to alert the Planning Commission that staff has sent notice and does plan to bring forward amended draft vacation rental ordinances at its February 11th meeting. And just a reminder that land use fees update is scheduled to go before the board at its February 3rd meeting, which is just coming up next week as well. The other, I did just want to loop back and just to close the loop formally with regard to the discussion of LUACs. So if I may, I would just like to share my screen so we can close the loop and get everyone on the same page with regard to LUAC and quorum requirements. So are we able to share and see the broadcast for Zoom being shared? Perfect, thank you. So according to the guidelines for land use advisory committees, so correctly, as Commissioner Deal did say, the LUAC must consist of not fewer than 5 members and not more than 9. So in any circumstance where we have fewer than 5 members, those are where the LUAC should not convene, does not have sufficient membership to take a collective consideration and action. And then a quorum is the simple majority of all the members at any given time. So as long as they have 5, not more than 9, the quorum is the simple majority of the number of members at that time.
Thank you. Are those all the department reports? Any comments, questions from commissioners? Seeing none, then I'm going to go ahead and have a public comment on this particular items. Is there anybody in the chambers that would like to address the commission on this particular items? Seeing no one in the chambers coming forward, is there anybody via Zoom or emails that would like to address the commission on the last aforementioned information?
There are no hands up on Zoom and no additional emails.
Thank you. With that, then, this County of Monterey Planning Commission meeting is now adjourned at 11:18 a.m. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.